All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Melanin Margin, the weekly chat show where conversations about race are never off the table. We're your hosts, Quaviondre Williams.
And Daquon Wilson.
So let's get into this week's conversation. What's hot on the table this week?
Now, the table is always hot with current events and social issues, but sometimes the heat can get a little intense. Let's turn the temp down, take a breather, and get into this week's topic cool down. So, Quaviondre,
Yes.
as the year winds down to a close, what is something you learned in 2021 and a goal that you have for 2022?
I would say what I have learned in 2021 is to heal.
Mm,
I think that 2021 really taught me a really valuable lesson about how unhealed trauma can manifest in so many different ways. And personally, I think that there is there is something to be said about looking when I look back on the things that have happened this year, and so much has happened. But like, I was in a car accident. I had a relationship that didn't really work out very well and didn't end the best way it could have. And my mother and I going through a rough patch in our relationship, and just all these things just kind of culminated into me realizing that unhealed trauma cannot stay unhealed forever, because it's going to manifest in every way possible. And it's going to manifest in ways that you don't think affect you. And I think that, for me, I think for the first time this year, because I'm back I went into therapy recently, and I was talking to my therapist last week, and we were having a conversation. I was so scared because I was like, I just saw my unhealed trauma manifest in a part of my personality that I didn't even know was there. And it frightened me so much because it was the first, because I thought I had it together. Like a bitch thought she had it together. You know what I'm saying? The bitch thought she was
right.
good. And I didn't realize that I was compartmentalizing that trauma. And so it was finding new ways to come out. And it was the first time I was like, had a moment where I was like, oh my God, like I see it. I see it. And so that's what I learned in 2021, is that just because you don't talk about something, just because you don't bring up something that you've experienced in the past, does not mean that it's not still there, does not mean that it's not still happening, does not mean that it's not still manifesting in some way. And I guess my goal in 2022 would be to work on that healing and to make a change for real, and to really get to a place where not only that this trauma does no longer define me, but I'm working on trying to heal it so that it doesn't continue to manifest in other ways that that can become a detriment in my life in the future. Because I want to start to break generational curses.
Mhm. That is so powerful. And also, just like that takes a lot. It takes a lot to be able to get to that point to where you can feel like you are healing and that you want to be on that healing journey and that you are
Yeah.
committing yourself to a healing journey. And I think that for me, something that I've learned in 2021 is just like not caring about the imperfections, not,
Mm.
getting all over my head about creating this image of myself that I think I should be. And I think that it really has, manifested in like a lot of different ways in my life. Like, even because I'm doing this thing where I'm like comparing like what my makeup and stuff looked like at the beginning of the year versus like now. And like,
Hmm.
even thinking about something as small as like how I do my makeup. At the beginning of the year, everything needed to be perfect. If
Yeah.
it wasn't perfect, clear in the face, like I'm not gonna post it. Like it's not giving, so I'm just gonna take it off. And I
Yeah.
needed to like have this like perfectly manicured glam type look. And like now I'm just like, I'm just gonna do something and like let that happen. And I think all of 2021 was just me learning how to not create an image of myself, but just be myself. And I think that going into 2022, my ultimate goal is to reconnect with my inner child, connect with that
Mm.
inner child that like never really got to be themselves fully. Because like recently I've had a lot of just like nostalgia trips of where I felt that inner child being so happy and it made me so happy and so joyous. And so I think that in 2022, like I'm going to be on my own healing journey of just like connecting with that inner child, seeing what makes my inner child happy and like being able to, you know, live that to kind of heal some of those past traumas and reconcile like the person I thought I needed to be versus the person
That
I
you are.
am.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it is crazy how COVID has really fucked the game up. Like it has really opened up some fucking doors on your life and your soul and your like just it's just so much is going on and like in just going through a global pandemic, seeing people's true colors, it really does bring out, the best and the worst in people when you go through stuff like this kind of collective trauma. And it's just like, looking around and just looking at your life and looking at how people interact. And, I think that had, now, once again, I think COVID shouldn't happen at all. But I mean, if there is a bright side to this whole thing, at least for me, it was, it was almost like I'm getting emotional. It was almost like a magnifying glass, on you. And it's like you were able when you spend so much time with yourself, you start to see more of who you are, and you start to see the not so perfect parts of your personality. You get to see yourself through, it's like this, like I said, this collective trauma had just basically taken off the rose colored lenses. And like
Mhm.
you look at yourself, you're kind of like, well, I'm a good person. I do good things. I try my best to do the right thing, or whatever the case may be. And I have my insecurities, but whatever. But, especially as Black people, there is this level of having to give 110% at all times.
Right. And then when you add queer onto it, that's 210%.
And so you're fighting against so many different things that tell you that you're not good enough, that you won't make it, that you shouldn't do that makeup that way, or that you shouldn't do, or if it's not perfect, you shouldn't do it at all. Because we're ingrained in that idea that we have to work twice as hard to be half as good. And so there's that, like I said, in this whole pandemic, and like I said, especially in 2021, especially for me, it just really was like a magnifying glass on my life, and just kind of having just epiphany moments multiple times, even before therapy. Just the reason why I went to therapy was because of all these epiphany moments I was having. And it's just like realizing just how much unhealed stuff is still affecting me. Because had this pandemic not happened, or had I just had the things that happened in my life this year not happened, it might have been more years before I realized what I realized or saw what I needed to see. And it was just like, once again, if there is a bright side, because I mean, once again, it's not nothing good about it, but if there is a bright side to it, it just was like opening a doorway into the most authentic version of yourself, and opening a magnifying glass to the worst parts of you.
Mhm.
Because there's nothing like trauma to help you see what the fuck is wrong.
Right.
Because those trauma responses, bitch, they heavy. They heavy, bitch.
They will
So,
put you in a place and also just
yes.
like isolation. I think
Oh, yeah.
isolation has been a big thing for me because I always know that like when I am with other people, I am always thinking about what image do they have of me in my head and always trying to focus on just like keeping that image that they have
Exactly.
of me. And then I'm
Exactly.
just like reflecting other people rather than just like when I'm all here by myself, the only person I have to reflect off of is myself.
And that's it. I think that's what I'm trying to say. That see, bitch, you the fucking shit. Okay, like we here with it, but like that's exactly what I mean. It's just like this. It, like I said, of course, this was a horrible thing. Many lives were lost, but you know, I do think that there is, like I said, if we look at some of the things that came out of it was, like I said, that just that realization and, like you said, that reflection of yourself. Because I'm the same way. You know, I wanted to be a certain image for certain people. I wanted to be certain things, certain people. And like you said, that consistent isolation, months and months of not being able to go out and have fun and do the things that you wanted to do, forces you to, like you said, reflect on just you. And so I think that, and if, honestly, for both of us, I think, and that's crazy that both of our journeys are both of our, like, you know, goals in 2022 are kind of aligned in the sense that we both realize that we need to reconnect and we need to heal. We need to see the things that we're missing and we need to correct them, or at least try to move forward from them. And it's crazy that it took a whole damn global pandemic to do that. I don't want to do this shit ever again. Ever the fuck again. I don't ever want to do this shit again.
Never.
And never like, so, you know, but it just, like I said, if there is one sliver of light in the darkness that is COVID-19, Omicron, whatever the fuck it's called, whatever fraternity it's called now, you know, if there's one sliver of light
COVID,
in
alpha,
there.
beta, gamma.
But yeah, if there is even one sliver of light in it, it has really helped open up your eyes and let you see what's really wrong in your life, you know? Now, so many children grow up never knowing the full scope of what their culture has contributed to society and history. So it's time for a change. Let's take a pause, rewind, and remind the world just how we did that. Now, in the article 29 Facts About Black History that you might not know, we learned that Ralph Bunche was the first person of color and the first African American to receive a Nobel Peace Prize. Now, Bunche, a diplomatic and a political scientist, began working with the United Nations as early as 1944 as the form of the coalition began to become clear in the waning days of World War II. Now, he, along with Eleanor Roosevelt, was responsible for the creation of the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights. His Nobel Prize was given in recognition of this work amongst the Arab-Israeli conflict in the late 1940s. Now, Bunch was the UN's chief mediator and for the conflict, and negotiated in the 1949 armistice agreements. The following year, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize.
Black excellence.
Period. Period.
It's always just like so amazing to hear not only Black excellence, but Black excellence that are fighting for the humanity of all.
Exactly.
And so for my We Did That, we all know the iconic Playboy bunny suits. What
Mm-hmm.
you may not know is that the original was sold by a Black woman. Zelda Wynn Valdez was a Black fashion designer, seamstress, and costumer. She began her dressmaking business in 1935, and in 1948, she opened up the first Black-owned business on Broadway with her design and dressmaking studio, Zelda Wynn. Some notable clients Valdez worked with include Gladys Knight, Josephine Baker, Mae West, Dorothy Dandridge, and Ella Fitzgerald. Impressively, during her time working with Fitzgerald, she only measured the singer once and studied newspaper photographs of the singer and used her imagination to create dresses for Fitzgerald. She also had a huge impact on the world of dance when she worked for the Dance Theater of Harlem for about 30 years, designing costumes for over 80 production and being one of the first people to dye the tights to match the skin tone of the dancers. Black women.
Period. Constantly raising the bar. And I love this. There's so much about this segment, because there's so many things that I did not know, like literally did not know. And I think a lot of the reason why me and you created this segment was because there's still a lot about Black history that we don't even know as Black people.
I studied African American studies, and I'm still learning things. I didn't know the Playboy bunny suit was created by a Black woman. Like,
child, me neither. Like, it's the stuff that the fact that as our history, that's the reason why we created the segment, because there's so much of our history that is left out of the history books. And it's just like, it's so nice to really revisit and look in and actually research. Because me and Daquon both research these people, and we look and we're like, oh my God, like these people did this person did that. Like, what?
Right. The power of your mind to literally look at a photograph of somebody and create a dress. Like, I am no seamster or whatever. Like, I can't sew. Like, if I was on Drag Race, I would fail the sewing challenge 10 out of 10 times. But to be able to look at somebody and make a dress that fits them, that takes a lot.
Period. Talent. Now, as always, thank you all so much for watching, and keep the conversation going down in the comment box below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you are listening to us on our podcast, please rate and review on whatever platform you're using. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, our handles are at Andre Talks a Lot and at Daquon950. You can also follow our podcast on Instagram at the Melanin Margin for updates of new content. Now, we'll see you all next year on January 10th on the Melanin Margin, where conversations about race are never off the table, and we are here to bring the marginalized to the spotlight in any way we can, baby. Y'all have a good ass fucking Christmas and a happy ass fucking New Year, bitch. We'll see you next time.
Happy holidays.